I've always been a unique person, you know what I mean? Sort of laid back in a way, but very adamant and very passionate about what I believe. I think a lot of times that sort of throws people off because they don't expect me to have the mindset or the process of thought that I do. And so when you come in to watch my channel, you may hear a myriad of thoughts and ideas that could be different from others. What I want you to do is just sit back, like, share, and subscribe. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way. Helping you to make it through another day. Yeah, yeah. Everything you need to know that you never knew, that you need to know. Lockhart perspective.
Well, hello and welcome to the Lockhart Perspective. I am Felicia Lockhart, and I just want to welcome each and every one of you here tonight. We are going to take a look at the food industry. Now, you know, we've been keeping up with a lot of different recalls and things like that, and it's really piqued my curiosity because part of me feels like, well, gee whiz, how do we get all these foods that have all these bad products or all these bad things going on? And I keep asking the question, who's minding the store? Who's looking out for us? Well, we're looking out for us. And tonight we're going to look at a couple of different topics, the same type of conversation, but we're going to look at two different stories that's been brought to us by the same type of organization. We also have some great alternative recipes, and I know somebody would say, "Well, gee whiz, yeah, you may have a few alternatives, but now all the meat is bad and all this is bad." Well, you know what? Here's what I believe, that if you start out with good intentions, it's all going to end up okay. We definitely don't want to go to the places that are going to be listed here that tells us that it's loaded with lead and cadmium and other things. So we may want to try some quick dishes at home. And so I pulled up a couple of different alternatives for you as well. And that way you'll have a few things that you can do instead of. How about that? Because you know, a lot of times people take stuff from you, but they never give you a replacement. Didn't you used to hate that on some diets? You don't do this, don't do this, don't do that, but you don't know what to do, and you end up doing this and that. Anyway, let's get right into it. According to a most recent study, and I'm going to let you guys have this screen here so that you can see it all. It's the harmful antibiotics that have been shown to be in some foods. And this is from KXAN News. They are an NBC affiliate. And so you'll be able to find this. It's already down below in the description right now. So let's just get into it. Let me go on ahead and give you guys, well, you got a bunch of the screen. I think you guys have a lot. I don't want to take myself completely out because then I won't be able to know if I start fiddle faddling with the buttons. I'll be silent again like I was a few hours ago. Anyway, so Moms Across America, which is a national nonprofit, announced the first results of a fast food testing program initiated to test for potential toxins in one of our nation's most iconic go-to nutritional sources, the fast food restaurant. The story goes on to say that today's announcement on this particular day that it was published concerns the alarming concentrations of, get this, veterinarian drugs and hormones found in meals served at the top 10 restaurants frequented as fast food restaurants. Fast food is consumed by eight. Wow, that's a lot. 85 million Americans each day. That's a lot of people. Furthermore, many chains and suppliers, they're also suppliers for school lunches. And then 30 million of which are served daily to children. For millions of underprivileged children, these meals are the only access to a full meal. Yet previous testing has shown that American school lunches are very toxic. to further investigate the status of a major source of food and nutrition for children as well as adults in America. Moms Across America and its supporters, including the Children's Health Defense and the Center Academy, commissioned extensive testing on 21 of the country's most popular fast food brands. The 21 include the top 20 as rated by the QSR 50, as well as In-N-Out Burger, which came in at number 33, but was included in the testing because of its frequent claims to be healthier. It's a healthier version of fast food, they say. In all, 42 samples of fast food meals gathered from 21 locations nationwide were tested by the Health Research Institute. Now, all 21 brands were tested for the most widely used herbicides in the world: glyphosate, agrochemicals, glyphosate and 203 agrochemicals, 160 heavy metals, PFAS, phthalates, and mineral contents. The top 10 brands were nationally tested for 106 commonly used veterinarian drugs and hormones, vitamins, Bs, and calories. Those findings are summarized here. The veterinary drugs and hormones were found in 10 fast food samples that were tested. One sample from Chick-fil-A contained Nicarbazin, a contraceptive and an anti-parasitic that has been prohibited from use. 6 out of 10, or 60% of the fast food samples, contained the antibiotic Monensin, which is not approved by the FDA for human use and has been shown to cause severe harm when consumed by humans. Now, 4 out of 10, or 40% of the samples, contain the antibiotic Narasin, which has been shown in animal studies to cause anorexia, diarrhea, dyspnea, depression, ataxia, recumbency, and death, and pathologically by degeneration, necrosis, and repair of heart skeletal muscles. My. Goes on to say that Monensin and Narasin are inophores. Now, for those of you who are in the medical field and you know these words, you can type down there in the description, in the comments, whether it's now or in the replay, so that people can break this down and, say it correctly. It goes on to say that there are strong antibiotics which are toxic to horses and dogs at extremely low levels, but are widely used as feed additives to increase weight gain in beef and dairy cattle, as well as control coccidiosis, a parasitic disease of the intestinal tract in poultry. Misuse of the inophores can cause toxicity with significant clinical symptoms. Studies show that the toxicity mainly affects the myocardial and the skeletal muscle cells, heart and respiratory distress, colic, and sudden death in horses. Now, that's a small amount in horses. It goes on to say, while not used in humans due to the toxicity, they still carry a risk due to contamination and cross-resistance. In this study, the story goes on to say, in this study on America's most popular fast food chains, Moms Across America is specifically focused on exploring the potential contamination of our food supply and its effect on our physical and mental health. Moms Across America founder Zen Honeycutt says, quote, on a per capita basis, the United States spends nearly double the average of similarly wealthy countries on healthcare. Nonetheless, health outcomes are generally worse than other countries, including areas like life expectancy, infant mortality, and diabetes. Mental health issues are also on the rise in the United States, and many decades-old studies have shown a link between our food and this behavior. It is time for the public health officials to learn about and take action regarding the connection between American food and our physical and mental health. Senator Cory Booker's office was supposed to be hosting a school lunch congressional briefing the month of October on the 17th of 2023 in Russell House. Zen Honeycutt, the founder of Moms Across America, was to have been on the panel. She was apparently supposed to be invited to speak on the panel. But this particular organization has put together some more things. I mean, the whole entire website that you'll see down below is really helpful. And I think that as parents and as grandparents, it's really one of those things that we really need to tap into and to become a lot more familiar with, because these are ongoing studies that a lot of us didn't even know about. Some of us did, but the majority of us get so busy in everyday life, we don't necessarily know about them. So here, Moms Across America has put this story together here, and it's 100% of the fast food tested positive for heavy metals, lead, and cadmium. Just let that sink in for a second. Just think about that. High levels of cadmium, heavy metals, and lead. Remember, on Headlines with a Voice, we just got through covering dealing with the lead that was in the applesauce that the FBI and the FDA are now saying, according to them, the FBI and the FDA are saying it looks like that was done intentionally because it was made in Ecuador and it was from 3 American brands. I don't know how you can be an American brand and use an Ecuador to make your stuff, but I do get it because a lot of companies are like that. But I would just think that a food product, you would want that made closer to where you're going to be selling it. But then again, I digress. Let's just go ahead and get this. 100% of fast food samples tested positive for heavy metals, lead, and cadmium. Moms Across America, top 20 fast food testing results. They're announcing the heavy metal test results from the top 20 most popular fast food restaurants. The 42 samples were tested for arsenic, cadmium, lead, and mercury. 100% of the samples, which were purchased at 21 different locations nationwide, contained alarming levels of cadmium and lead. Moms Across America initiated this testing because of growing concerns of skyrocketing levels of mental health issues, violence, behavior, and learning disorders and autism in American children. Moms Across America's previous testing showed school lunches to be highly contaminated with argo chemicals and pollutants. Fast food companies are often the suppliers of school lunches. So do you see the connection and why they're making this, wide, broad statement of what they've been able to come up with? Moms Across America founders and Honeycutt says that Moms Across America is calling upon the policymakers to support changes in farming practices to regenerative organic. But then we know that some of the organic isn't even organic, right? It states that that can provide non-toxic, nutrient-dense food to every American child through school lunches. Our families require high standard of safety in fast food and the entire food supply. The security, success, and the future of our country depends on the mental and the physical health of our children, close quote. Here's a quick summary. 100% of the fast foods sampled contained the cadmium, and the levels of cadmium were between, get this, 74 and 150, 74 and 1,158% higher than what the EPA allows in drinking water. 74% to 1,158% higher than what the EPA allows in drinking water. Cadmium is a highly carcinogenic item, and it can cause toxic reactions even at low levels. In-N-Out French fries had 1,158% higher levels of cadmium than what the EPA allows in drinking water. Jack in the Box, these are out in California, out west. Jack in the Box French fries had 970% higher levels of cadmium than what the EPA allows in drinking water. 100% of the 42 fast food samples tested had trace amounts higher of lead. Even low levels of lead in the blood have been shown to negatively affect a child's intelligence and ability to pay attention and the academic achievement. Don't you know that if you don't know that this stuff is in your kid's food, they'll be labeling your child and your child will have all kinds of other health issues because of this? Think about the implications to not knowing that these things exist and at which levels they exist. All of us can have an opinion about fast food, but all of us are guilty of one time or another in our lives picking up something quickly and running on. With that said, these amounts are startling, and it is something that we all need to take advantage of, understanding what it can do to the children and to ourselves. Can you imagine not knowing while you're forgetting something and then somebody says, oh, you're of a certain age. The reason why you can't remember is because you're having dementia or early onset Alzheimer's. It could happen based on what we're reading here. So it goes on and says that even low levels of lead in the blood have been shown to negatively affect the child's intelligence and ability to pay attention and their academic achievement. A Sonic drive-in cheeseburger had the highest amount of lead at 912% higher than what the EPA allows in drinking water. Arsenic was also detected in 17% of the fast food samples. The highest level of arsenic was found in Panda Express's orange chicken and white rice at 362% higher than the EPA levels allow in drinking water. Now it's going to give us a breakdown of cadmium. The highest level of cadmium was found in the fast food French fries, and this is presumably because the potatoes are grown in the ground and absorb more heavy metals in the growth process. In and Out had 1,158 higher levels, 1,158% higher levels than what the EPA allows in the in the water, and we already saw what it said about Jack in the Box. But according to a March 2023 paper by Wang et al., cadmium, or CD, is the chemical breakdown name for it, is a highly carcinogenic metal which causes toxic reactions even at the low concentrations. Long-term ingestion of high doses of CD can cause serious health problems. And there's a citing there, which it says Enquete et al. 2021. The paper further explains how cadmium may be polluting food. Quote, application in sewage sludge, farmyard manure, or some commercial fertilizers may also increase the CD levels in the soil. The paper also points to reasons such as dumping of domestic or industrial wastewater and the misuse of phosphate fertilizer. How could consistent exposure to heavy metals affect the human health? Well, if you ingest contaminated water or food that contains the cadmium, you may experience nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal pain, and cramping. Oh, tenesmus is a sensation that you need to have a bowel movement, but you don't actually need to defecate. Exposure to cadmium can damage the kidneys, according to the American Kidney Foundation. This is criminal. This is absolutely unbelievable. It goes on to say that the kidneys obviously are powerful chemical factories that perform the following functions. They remove waste products from the body, they remove drugs from the body, they balance out the body's fluids, release hormones that regulate your blood pressure, and produce an active form of vitamin D that promotes strong, healthy bones. No wonder half of the American people that you see were all coughing and hacking, and people have stomach issues. They're running around taking more things for their stomach, thinking that it's a problem with their, I'm lactose intolerant, or I'm this, or I'm that. And not everybody is, if somebody says, well, I never eat that stuff. Well, not everybody is as good as you. Not everybody is as on the ball as you are. Okay. And so that means that there is a lot of people that are walking around here right now today that have illnesses and sicknesses that they have now gone and been diagnosed to have something else. And don't you know that it would be amazing if we would just find out that it was just because of this? Wouldn't that be amazing? Just to find out that it was because of this. And therefore, if you stop eating this or that, or you stop ingesting it, then you won't have to deal with the problem or the medications that are now going to give you even further issues. This is terrible. It says that the kidneys are powerful chemical factories that produce the following functions. They produce an active form of vitamin D for strong, healthy bones, and they control the production of red blood cells. Now, lead, while many of the samples did not have levels of lead above the laboratory's detection limit, 100% did have a trace amount or higher. The highest amount was 912% higher than what the EPA allows in drinking water, was a Sonic drive-in cheeseburger that we just read about. Lead can accumulate in livestock through contaminated animal feeds, such as grain, hay, grass, contaminated with lead from the fertilizer. Now, a CNN health article states, quote, it's a mantra repeated by doctors all over the world. There is no safe amount of lead, closed quote. Lead poisoning side effects in children include developmental delays, What is a developmental delay? Sometimes they want to tell you the child is autism. So then you go and you start to treat the child per the doctor's recommendation, because you want to be a good parent. You want to make sure that you're giving them what they need. But here you have developmental delays, learning difficulties, irritability, loss of appetite, weight loss, sluggishness, and fatigue. Abdominal pain seems to be a running theme, vomiting, constipation, and hearing loss. Do you see how some of these diseases can be masked by this type of stuff? Aren't you glad we're talking about this? Additionally, according to the CDC, exposure to lead can seriously harm a child's health and can cause well-documented adverse effects such as damage to the brain and the nervous system, slow growth and development, learning and behavior problems, hearing and speech problems. And how many of us know about a food desert? Do you know what a food desert is? If you do, put it down below in the comments, and make sure that if you don't mind, please hit that like button. It would mean everything to me. How many of you know what a food desert is? If you know what a food desert is, then you possibly know where I'm headed by the end of this article that we're done reading here. And I'll get to that. Let me write it down so I don't forget. I want to make sure I talk about them. All right. There is also, it can also lead to, this can cause, it says, lower IQ, decreased ability to pay attention, underperformance in school. There is also evidence that childhood exposure to lead can cause long-term harm. Exposure to lead can lead to lifelong debilitating effects. And according to the Mayo Clinic, quote, lead poisoning occurs when lead builds up in the body, often over months or years. Even small amounts of lead can cause serious health problems. Children younger than 6 years old are especially vulnerable to lead poisoning, which can severely affect mental and physical development. At very high levels, lead poisoning can be fatal, according to nonprofits As You Sow research. They say, quote, lead and cadmium accumulate in the body over time, increasing the total body burden of these heavy metals over decades. Ingesting even small amounts of these metals will add to existing body burdens and should be avoided, close quote. Here they discuss the portion dealing specifically with arsenic. Arsenic was also detected in 17% of the fast food samples, with the highest level in Panda Express's orange chicken and white rice. Guilty, I've eaten there. Guilty, I've eaten that. Boy. 362% higher than the EPA levels allow in drinking water. Arsenic, I'm so glad that they're repeating this, because sometimes an adult learner needs to have something repeated over and over again before they get it. But it goes on to say that arsenic is often used as a pesticide, used on rice, and can be found in the manure used as fertilizer. According to a paper by Abdul et al. Called Arsenic and the Human Health Effects, a review, quote, arsenic has been associated with persuading a variety of complications in the body organ system. Integumentary, nervous, respiratory, cardiovascular, hemopatic, and the immune, as well as the endocrine, hepatic, renal, reproductive system, and development. Arsenic has been able to induce epigenetic changes in utero, that's the baby inside your body, and genetic mutations. Wow. And it's a leading cause of cancer. Signs of arsenic ingestion may present as drowsiness, headaches, confusion, and severe diarrhea. Wow. Proponents of fast food may suggest that the levels of heavy metals detected in the food were low and of no concern. However, compared to the EPA's allowable levels of heavy metals in drinking water, we might agree that these levels are deeply concerning. When you get this, make sure you go down here, because there's the EPA levels of metals in water, and they're all listed here to include mercury. So make sure that you look at that list. It says, we can reduce heavy metals in food. The primary source of heavy metals in food is likely the fertilizer inputs, and proponents of regenerative organic agriculture assert that farming in this manner can reduce the inputs. Therefore, one could surmise that reducing fertilizers would reduce the levels of heavy metals in the soil. I hear what they're saying, but I'm going to write down why I don't agree with that, and we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, wrote that down. Now it says that when you start farming regeneratively, you rely a lot less on the external inputs such as fertilizer. Okay, I buy that. Now, from a Washington State University article, it says, quote, the key principle of most definitions of regenerative agriculture is the integration of livestock into cropping systems. The grazed livestock component of regenerative agriculture allows for several advantages that annual cropping cannot give, including improved soil health. It also reduces the need for nutrient inputs through a series of systems changes that start with reduced exports. Livestock grazing is the source of regenerative agriculture's reduction in nutrient input needs, closed quote. Now, the Rosedale Institute, Moms Across America recommends the Rosedale Institute and Regenerative Organic Certified for further education regarding the regenerative organic agriculture, right? So there's a movie that they also recommend, and it's called Common Ground by Josh and Rebecca Tickle. I like their name, Tickle. Which was in theaters during the time that this article was published in October. And they're connecting your neighbors to grow your own. They're trying to connect neighbors to grow their own food, starting their own neighborhood food network. Well, I'm going to really intercede for them and their safety. There's also a petition down here, and there's also an area where you can actually join the organization. And I did. I went ahead and joined them just so that I can get information and bring it back to you guys, because I really feel that this is an important topic that we really need to continue to drive home. Now, as I promised at the very top, first, let me give you my responses to a couple of things. The food deserts. Food deserts are in specific communities with specific ethnic groups, and those particular food deserts have been caused by large grocery stores pulling out of the community. Okay, before we get into the actual next story that we're going to talk about, these particular food deserts are in communities where you may only see like a couple of dollar stores, and you may see a load of McDonald's or these different fast food chains, right? You won't see any big grocery stores where you can get fruits and vegetables in a large quantity. You may have like a walk-in Quick Mart or something like that, but you are not going to have large grocery stores with fresh leafy green vegetables. Some of the time you may not have any farmers markets, and because of the location, you may not even be privy to a farmer's market, right? And so the food deserts are caused by large organizations, or should I say companies, pulling out of the communities and leaving nothing but these Dollar Trees, dollar stores, quick in and out box foods, where you find loads of trash as opposed to more banana peels, right, in the house trash can. These communities are mostly Hispanic, Black, low-income white people, right? And more of these different companies are pushing their ways into these communities, and people are purchasing their actual groceries from there because some of them don't have transportation for whatever the reason. It's a spiral that exists. And I submit that it just may be on purpose, but I can't say for sure. I'm just saying that it's really not something that you really want to look at. You don't want that, right? You want to make sure that you're getting fresh vegetables. But I do like what they said with Moms Across America, that, hey, we're trying to help people start their own growing of vegetables. And let's just hope that they have great success with that. Now, as I promised at the very top, oh, I forgot the other one. And I don't agree with them saying that, you know what, it's just because of this particular type of farming. I think a lot of it is on purpose, but I'm going to leave that for another day of the topic. Now let's get into some of the fun stuff. What I wanted to do is I didn't want to be that person that just tells you, oh, stop doing this and stop doing that. Because hey, like I said, I used to like to eat that orange chicken. Haven't eaten there in a minute, but I do remember when I would stop by, especially when I worked in malls. When I had stores that were in malls that I had to stop at different stores or whatever to check on some of my stores that I was managing. Don't you know that I would stop sometimes at a quick you were thinking that because it's the Panda Express that it's quicker. So you go and you get you some of the vegetables, you get the little vegetable, then you may get one little serving of that orange chicken. I'm guilty. I said it, I'm guilty. All right, so now here we are. Even though, yes, we know that there are several recalls on things like, ground beef and all that other stuff, we came up with an alternative to give you tonight because we don't want to be that person that just tells you don't do. But here it is for In-N-Out Burgers. Down below in the description, you're going to find a recipe, a link. It's going to take you directly to how to make your own. If you are a person who is in California or the West Coast and you like really good juicy burgers, here's one. It says, this copycat In-N-Out burger recipe may just be better than the real thing. Try it and see. That's the burger. Okay, there you go. And it goes on to tell you how this mother was born. It says, I grew up with a mother who was born and bred in California and thus a huge fan of In-N-Out burgers. I was raised in Wisconsin, a state with no In-N-Out burger, within 1,000 miles or more. And it wasn't until I was an adult, myself on a trip to the West Coast, that I experienced my first In-N-Out burger. From that time forward, anytime I'm in the state and I want an In-N-Out burger, my internal hamburger radar manages to find one. Nonetheless, won't you go down below and look at this because it's giving you some alternatives to what we just saw. Now, we do know that we looked at the French fries that was from that location. And according to the article that we just read, the French fries had those high levels, according to the article, because of the soil that they were grown in. So that's going to have to be something that you do your due diligence and look at. But here they're giving you the entire way to make them, all the way down to the caramelized onions. And if you are like myself and you've had an In-N-Out burger, baby, you already know that's a good burger. Okay, that's a good burger. So there's one tip for you. And then I also wanted to give you another tip because a lot of people like the flavor, even though you may not have eaten at Taco Bell in a long time, and like years and years and years. Some people like to make their own tacos. And here is a nice alternative for you. It says, forget the drive-through. This is how to make beef taco recipe that tastes just like Taco Bell tacos for an easy Taco Tuesday dinner at home night of the week. These are really quick ways that you can make some wonderful things at home. And you can also allow your grandchildren to help you, like I do my grandson. One of my grandsons can cook. One of my sons can cook really well. But there are several different ways that you can cook some things. So it's important for us to have a healthy conversation. It's important for us to honestly be honest with each other and say that, yes, sometimes we do eat at some of those places. And sometimes we do find ourselves in a quick moment where we have to grab something. And for the people who say, well, I never eat it, and I'm so proud of you. And I'm so happy that you don't. Won't you take some of these recipes and share them with others? So that way, maybe they can check them out as well. Because once we see how much cadmium and how much lead and how much all this other stuff is in this food, we have to be concerned. The antibiotics and the contraceptives that were in the first article that we read, when you go down below in the description, you'll also be able to pull that up yourself. But can you believe that? Now, I don't want to talk about the fact that, like I always say, who's minding the store, but I do want to say it. First of all, before we leave, I want to say hello to everybody here because we're about to go. I do see Drea. Hey, baby, wake up. I see you. Scrap out. How's it going? It's my son, King BJ. How are you doing? Would it help would it help if we alkaline our food? You know what, Risa? I'm going to say this, Risa. This is what I'm going to say. I would definitely, as far as alkaline is concerned, hey, Charlie, why, thank you, kind sir. You know what I would do? I would talk to, when you're talking about alkaline, because what I did here was was it Dr. Sabi? It was one of them, either Dr. Sabi or the other guy that's gone on with the scruffy beard. One of them was saying that if you're not alkaline, that it's sort of dangerous to all of a sudden just slam into some alkalinity or something like that. I don't know. I would definitely check. with somebody like a healthcare professional that deals with that particular type of topic. But what I want to say is, you know what? The transitions that we have to make to become healthier. I just found out that 30,000 steps a day will help me get rid of the little apron that I've had since I don't know when, the little belly. 30,000 steps a day. And then I try to figure out, gee willikers, how will I do 30,000 steps a day? And I said, well, instead of calling one of the grandkids, hey, there's Bishop. I love you, Bishop. How are you? I said, instead of me trying to do, hey, come bring me this, just get up and make those steps yourself and keep that little thing, the little counter on, and let it count the steps. And maybe once I get to the 30,000 steps a day, I probably won't even notice. But my point is that we got to help encourage each other. We've got to look for these stories and share them out with one another. Send them to me, and I'll go on ahead and I'll share them with everybody. If you're not able to share them or you don't have a platform to share them, let's all do this. Because you and I both know that there are a lot of people who are ill every single day. We've no idea. Some of the things that we just got to looking at just then could be misconstrued as something else. Somebody could think it's something else. It could be misidentified as something else. It really could. Especially when you're looking at little kids that really can't tell you everything about how they feel or whatnot. Their tummy hurts and you're like, well, here, just go lay down. Or, hey, maybe you just need a laxative, because that's what my mother used to say. Well, go lay down, take a laxative, see what happens. Here, take some of this. Back in my day, we used to use, what was it called? Turpentine and sugar on a spoon. Now, I don't know what they would do to people these days if they had the turpentine and sugar on a spoon. Or we would take a sugar cube, drop the turpentine on it, and they would stand in line. All of us would stand in line, and they give us that. They would give us cod liver oil. Okay? They would give us cod liver oil. And honey, when I tell you that was some funky stuff, but our skin stayed beautiful. Our hair stayed long. We stayed healthy. We weren't doing all this hawking and hacking. But then again, I don't think that there was a lot of intentional tampering either that much then either. Okay? Most assuredly, Scrap Out. Most assuredly. Drea Lee, I think I said hey to you, pretty girl. And thank you so much. Hey, Hal. Hey, Mike. How you doing there, brother? It's good to see you. And is this Shorky Dog Mom coffee lover? Well, I love a doggy. My dog is in the other room, and I'm a coffee lover as well. But I have been getting into some delicious teas. Bishop, do you remember, is that Father John, is that the orange and white box that had the fish on the outside that was like a white creamy emulsion? Which one was that they used to make us take? It was a white creamy emulsion, and you had to take that by a spoonful of it. When I tell you we stayed so healthy back then, we really did, and it was because of a lot of that stuff. That was it. Okay, that Father John, boy, oh boy, that was some smelly stuff, but it was healthy. We didn't get sick often. Once our parents even heard a cough or a sniffle, yep, it was all the things you said. Tastes like motor oil, but did the job. Absolutely. And none of us got hurt. You try to give one of your kids that stuff, remember that? You try to give your kids some of that stuff right now, they probably call somebody on you. But I wouldn't care, because that stuff kept us healthy and kept us well, especially when it came to the change of the seasons, and we used to have to use that sugar with that turpentine. And I think that if they could have given us turpentine without the sugar, they would have. I think that the sugar was probably just to help it go down easy. Scrap Out says, urban area in which it is difficult to buy affordable or good quality fresh food. Many poor people live in food deserts, where they have plenty of food, but none of it healthy. And this is what they're doing. They're taking advantage of that. I sort of see it as them culling the herd so that we got clips every quarter, culling the herd so that they can bring in all these new folks that we only know, only the Most High knows what's really going on. But that's really all I have right now, you guys. I will be back tomorrow, and we'll be doing Saturday Night is Live. I don't know what the topic is for that right now. I have a couple of things that I'm dancing around in my head with. I do want to talk about a few things. I'm not going to get into what I really want to talk about, but nonetheless, I so appreciate each and every one of you. Will you do me a favor, please, before you leave? If you have the ability to share this, please share it, because a lot of people need to know about these different lead levels and all that stuff in the foods. So please share it with somebody and ask them to do it the same. Ask them to do the same. And then also, if you don't mind, we've covered two great topics over on Headlines with a Voice. We did a great live yesterday, one today. If you would not mind, go over to my other channel and join them there as well. And that way, if you're not already a member, they are not already a member or a subscriber, at least you'll be getting some of the information so we can get everything up and running. I so appreciate each one of y'all for stopping by, baby. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Make sure that you look down below in the description and start to make some of those delicious things on your own. And like somebody just got to say, and pray over your food, make sure that you lift up your food and you pray over your food. You intercede on your family's behalf and you pray for yourself, and then you eat your food. Okay. But try those recipes and see what happens. Okay. All right, you guys, you take care. You remember what we always say on any Felicia Lockhart Group publication, and that is that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High. You guys take care of yourselves and you take care of one another. And remember, you got to take care of you first, because if you don't, nobody else will. Once you take care of you, reach around and take care of somebody else. But until we see each other again, make sure you take care of my friend, because my friend is you. Peace. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping